Hi, I'm Greg Filson, known from the BXG podcast. You can get that anywhere. I'm here to tell you about really great sunglasses from Ambassador Sunglasses. If you need any kind, any style, they really do a representation. Men or women, you'll find your perfect pair. Good prices, and with my promo code GTPHILS, all caps, you can get 50% off starting now. Yeah, please go ahead, get yourself a pair, get someone else a pair. They're a really good price. I can't recommend them highly enough. I've been wearing the 4 that I've got all the time, and I get compliments all the time. You will too. Ambassador Sunglasses, ambassador.com. Promo code GTPHILS.
Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as Jeopardy and James Bond. I am one of your hosts, Bretton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, Double Jeopardy himself, Greg Filson. How are you tonight, Greg?
I'm doing well. Just flying high off of all the James Bond I've been watching. I'll get into it when we talk about it in the show, but yeah, it's been a good espionage week for me with James Bond, Fast and the Furious. I'm ready to rock and roll. Espionage, spy, secrets. It's good stuff.
Family.
How are you, Brenton?
I'm flying high off of cocaine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Hoping to lose some weight.
Are you seriously doing cocaine? Because that'd be, it's a good way to have energy from what they tell me. I've never done it, so I don't know.
Right. Well, like I said, trying to lose some weight. So
okay.
I figured the best way would be to, snort.
Heroin's also a good way to lose weight.
Right.
Because you just shut you down.
I don't like needles.
You can smoke it.
Yeah, I've never smoked anything. I think the best way to go is to just
not even the competition.
Only the competition. In fact,
okay.
I have a very specific example too.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Let's see here. Housekeeping. BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and other podcast services around the globe. Official BXG social media accounts: Facebook.com/BXG podcast, Instagram @BXG podcast, Twitter @BXG podcast, Instagram @GTFills for Greg, @Y2B for me, at GT Filson on Twitter for Greg, @Y2Boo for me. Because
nice.
Halloween.
'Tis the season.
Yeah, we have also the YouTube channel where you can see our reviews for both the Monster Mash cereal, wouldn't recommend it, and the Wendy's spicy chicken Pringle, would recommend it. So
still haven't seen it yet.
It's
available. I haven't seen it.
One of our viewers texted me and said, I would eat that Pringle based on your recommendation. So we got that going for us, which is nice.
Yeah, right.
Let's see here. We've got a pretty good show tonight, I think. We've got a guest.
We have a great show.
Yeah, former Jeopardy champion Suzanne Rorick joins us to chat about Jeopardy and what it was like being on and how to prepare and things like that. We've got the James Bond No Time to Die review. We've got the challenge. We've got Fury Wilder 3. We've got Pop Culture Potpourri. We've got aliens, apparently, from the sky and from the deep. But we begin. All right, that was awesome, and we really appreciate.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzanne.
We really appreciate Suzanne for coming on and chatting with us. It's been a long time coming, and you had to get her on the anniversary of the day she lost. So
yeah, of course I did.
What a guy!
What are friends for?
Wow, who needs friends who needs enemies when you've got friends like you?
That is right. All right, so we move on to our first topic of the evening, and we have a friend of mine, a great friend of mine, a coworker of mine, but more importantly, a Jeopardy champion. Suzanne Rorick is on our show. this is when we're recording. It's Wednesday. It's the 11th anniversary of her being beat on the show, which I think is just a great moment to have her on, and par for the course for her and I discussion. So, Suzanne, thank you for joining us. And how are you doing tonight?
I am good. It might have been better if we'd done this yesterday when it could have been the 11th anniversary of me, actually winning Jeopardy. But hey,
but that's not as fun for me. So.
I know it.
But well, thank you for coming on. We're very pumped. Jeopardy we both love Jeopardy, Brenton and I. Brenton loves it more than I do, but we both love it. And we wanted to have you on the show for a while, and I've just been lazy, and I finally said, let's do this, Suzanne. So thank you for coming on. Brenton is the host, the co-host of the show, and he does all the stuff. So Brenton, Suzanne, Brenton.
Nice to meet you formally.
But we'll get right into the Jeopardy question. We are actually doing this as questions and not answers.
Round.
Yeah, because that'd be weird if we did it that way. I feel like it'd be complicated, and it's So Suzanne, I've talked to you many times about Jeopardy, but we'll get into this. How did you arrive at the decision to even compete for Jeopardy?
Because I was obsessed with it at a young age, to the point where it probably hindered my social life in high school. And I don't know, I wanted to be on it when I was super young, like high school, college, but I never really had the guts to do it. And then I just decided to take the online test. Obviously like 10 years ago, 11. It's a long process getting in, so I think it was still, yeah. And then I was 26, Wesley was not even 2 yet, and I was like, screw it, what's the worst that can happen? And I took the online test, and then they get back to you, maybe. Like, you never know what your score is. You never know if you're actually accepted until they probably changed it by now, because this was a long time ago, because I'm old. But yeah, they finally send you a letter in the mail being like, come to an in-person audition, and that was super exciting. So
yeah. Wow.
So that kind of actually plays into the second question, because I'm very curious as to the process after the online test, because I've taken the online test myself at least once. And, after you take that test, they do the live audition. Like, what does that look like as far as it being an audition, but also, I assume you're competing in these auditions?
Kind of. I just suddenly wondered if I'm actually allowed to talk about this. Is it some
Don't worry, we're not that popular. We're not that popular, Suzanne.
Yeah.
We're hoping to be someday, when the Royal Caribbean and the other things come through for us, well.
I'm worried they're going to come back and take my $15,000 away.
Well, okay. So within the realm of what you can tell us.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure I can tell you anything.
Okay.
So anyway, it's basically they get you in a conference room at the Marriott or whatever. Gregory Filson, are you drinking alcohol right now?
Yeah, I always have a little beverage on the show.
Indeed. They get you basically in a conference room at the Marriott. They have you do a written test just to make sure you didn't cheat your ass off on the online test. And then they have you go up and introduce yourself, make sure you're not just a complete dud, and you have charisma, etc. And then they do have you do trial runs with the buzzer, where you're going against 2 other people.
Okay.
And sure the procedure with the buzzer and can answer in the form of a question, do all the things that are required. And that was actually pretty fun. I was super nervous before I did it. But then once you're there, it's actually a lot of fun.
It's very cool. And hopefully don't take Suzanne's money. Don't Jeopardy. Don't take her money. She's a guest on our show. She's a guest in our hearts and on our show. So I guess Suzanne, I know you're very good at trivia, and we still need to go out and do a trivia night at some point, because I just want to win, because I'm used to that in Alaska. We won all the time, but I want to have you there. But how did you specifically prepare to be on Jeopardy?
So I did the major topics like geography, state, country, capitals, that kind of stuff, presidents. colleges, just like all the kind of opera is a big one. Like if you look at past episodes, you can kind of judge like what are the most popular topics. Unfortunately, and you'll hate this, but I kind of left sports and colleges out of it just because I knew I was hopeless.
I think that's okay though, in the sense of like, if you're really, really strong at the stuff that you know, I think that's better than to kind of get too widespread. So I understand that. I mean, like, am I mad at you? No, but like, I would probably, most of the time with the sports categories, I dominate without thinking about that at all. So like, you're always going to have someone that just dominates that. But you know what I don't like? Rivers. I don't know a single damn river in this world. I can get you to the Mississippi. That's it. I got that.
You know what's the best river? The Danube. Sorry.
Germany.
It is the best. It is the best.
Right? Is it in Germany?
I don't know where any river's at.
I don't know.
Mississippi goes throughout the entire United States.
Here's what I know. And as far as knowing the categories, and Greg sent me the message about the very cool, and this is for anybody listening, the archive site of and so I went on and looked at your the categories, the questions, it's crazy who got each one right, double Jeopardy, what they wagered on final, everybody's score between the rounds. It was nuts, and whoever does that, God bless them.
You bring a Snickers. You bring a Snickers to that guy every day at work. You bring that guy a Snickers, because or lady.
Every day. It's crazy that they put that much effort into it every episode.
Yes. So, but one of the categories that I noticed I can't remember if it was the first or the second show, in single or regular Jeopardy, was cookies. And I'll tell you what, I knew all the answers to those right away, didn't I?
Greg,
you do love cookies.
Greg, you didn't tell me your friend was actually gonna do all the research.
Oh, this guy does all the research. I'm just the ass clown on this show, Suzanne, as I am in normal life.
That's actually very fair. So were there any categories that you were really hoping, like Greg said, sports for him, cookies, various flavors of ice cream for me. Was there anything in particular that you were hoping, I know that I can knock this out of the park. I hope it's up there, because like when I was a kid and we would watch this, my dad would sit there and go sport when he's going through across the categories, sports. Well, I guess I'm not getting any right.
I mean, generally, I'm really strong on like geography. I'm a huge history nerd, theater, anything that's, nerdy, sci-fi, that kind of thing. You can't actually, it's annoying. Like, it's really hard to get like a video of your actual show, because like so many people would want them. They don't generally do that. But one of my friends actually T-voted it back in the day.
Nice.
And there were some nerdy questions. Like there was a Star Wars question that like I didn't miss it. I just wasn't fast enough on the buzzer.
Yeah.
And you
princesses.
Yeah.
Princess Leia. And then there was also a Princess Bride question, which I was a big fan of. I think
her son's named after her
nice.
son Wesley.
It's one of my favorite movies.
And I believe I was beaten to that question, but it's been a long time. So
as you wish.
And that leads to this, because you brought up the buzzer. That seems to be maybe the most important thing, because it feels like everybody on that show knows their stuff. So what is that like with the buzzer, with the clicker?
It's really tricky. So like there's an amount of time that you have to wait to buzz in, and if you buzz in too early, they lock you out, which pretty much screws you unless like nobody else knows the answer. And then you just have to have the timing right. And I'm not sure I had the timing perfect on the one that I won, but the other two like obviously hadn't like perfected either. I'm pretty sure the chick that I lost against in the second round, because I still came in second, like I still knew most things that she knew. But she was fast like a freak on the buzzer. She had her timing down. I'm pretty sure she practiced it like crazy, which I guess I should have done, but I was researching facts instead. And it's really funny because you can't see the video, but like I have no chill. So like every time she beats me to an answer I know, I'm just like you can see me. And I wasn't trying to, but like
I'd love to see that.
Like, holy crap, you were like giving her the death glare. And I'm like, oh no.
I've heard that like from various contestants, like what's the one thing? Because people say like, oh, did you study this? Did you study that? And they say, no, we get out like the toilet paper rod with the spring, and that's how we practice the clicker, just like when we're sitting at home watching it, because that is the hardest, one of the hardest things to get down. This isn't one of our like written questions. I'm just going off script a little bit here. I seem to notice, and correct me if I'm wrong, the first round of Jeopardy seems like it's pretty general questions. You know, you might get like, if it's a sports category, you might get like baseball, right?
Right.
But in the second, in Double Jeopardy, it gets ultra specific. So it's like second place Cy Young winners in the 70s. Is that like pretty accurate that things just get super specific in the second round?
I mean, I haven't watched in a very long time, unfortunately, because I don't actually have television anymore. I sometimes go in the Jeopardy archive, but yeah, I think generally it's more dependent on they come up with like the punny answer,
Yeah.
like the punny categories, etc. I think it is definitely a little more specific in the second one, but I think it also just kind of depends on what the writers are doing and like what they're trying to accomplish with the presentation.
Sure.
Is the impression that I get.
Gotcha. What do you okay, so like Greg alluded to, everybody who goes on that show is obviously very bright, very good at trivia, they know their stuff, but it's one thing to be able to know that information and another thing to be able to recall it with the buzzer, with the pressures of the lights and Alex freaking Trebek standing 20 feet away from you. How were you able to keep yourself calm under those conditions?
Honestly, I didn't. I don't actually remember the game that I won very well. Like I got to the halftime when there was like the slight break and I was like, oh, I'm winning. And then I got to the end, I'm like trying to figure out mathematically how much to wager, and like my brain is not working. And I know there's algorithms that people study as to like the mathematics of it, and I was just like, fuck it. We're allowed to
Yeah.
Fuck it. This much, I'm pretty sure that will make me okay. So yeah, and then like once I won, I was like, came down from the huge adrenaline rush. But yeah, and yeah, things that I didn't even realize that I remembered. Like there was like a presidential question that was like a very obscure thing that I know I like studied like months before, but like if you'd asked me that in conversation, I would have had no idea. But for some reason, like with that adrenaline rush, they asked the question. I was like, "It's that."
That's awesome.
And I was like, "Holy shit, that's right." Okay. So yeah, it was crazy.
And to bounce off of that, how much time did you get to spend with Alex Trebek, if any time?
Not a lot. I mean, he comes around, shakes her hand, and stands for the picture that I sent you. And I think the most interaction you get is the introduction, which they give you. They basically say list 3 possible, introduction interview questions, and then you don't know which one it's gonna be. And for both of mine, he picked the most embarrassing one, and I
was gonna ask you that. What are the questions?
Yeah. So I don't know. Was there a transcript at all in the?
No. It's just the the questions and the answers and stuff.
Okay, because yeah, one of mine was about my pet rat as a child that and hid in my parents' bed. I thought it was dead, but
oh my god,
hiding in my parents' bed. And the only reason I knew it was alive was because I heard this ear-shattering scream. And Alex was like, it was, and when I was like, oh yeah, my dad, and he's like, no, it was your mom, right? It was your mom that screamed because your dad's in the audience right now. And I'm like, nope, it was him. Sorry, Dad.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's funny. Okay, so here's what I always want to know too is, at the end of the episode, when everybody's standing around and he's talking to everybody, what's really being said there? Because in my heart of hearts, I just wanted to be him clowning on whoever lost. I know it's probably not, but that would be great.
Not really. It's mostly us congratulating. He can be snarky.
Oh yeah.
Snarky as hell. And I got a little bit of that, but it was mostly just the contestants congratulating each other and talking and whatnot. But yeah, he definitely was pretty snarky during both episodes I was in. Like he was very big on like correcting pronunciation.
Always.
Love it. That's excellent. You got the best of Trebek.
Yep. I said Samuel Pepys as one of the answers because that seemed like it would be correct. He's like, no, it's Samuel Pepys. And I was like, that's a stupid name.
Is there any advice, and obviously you alluded to it, so the process might be different, but is there any advice that you give to anybody who's considering, taking the online test or trying to, find their way on to Jeopardy? Not as a host, because I know that they're looking for one of those as well, but as a contestant.
I actually kind of wanted to be one of the writers. Like that was like my dream. Just like being funny and like talking about trivia. But apparently like they never hire because none of those people ever leave. They
I'm sure. It's like being a Supreme Court justice.
Exactly. But yeah, honestly, it was kind of a crapshoot because I figured it out at the time, but it's been a long time, obviously. Of all the questions that they asked, only I think 4 were ones that I actually got from studying. The other ones were just that I knew.
Yeah.
So you just have to have a really wide range of trivia knowledge. And yeah, it seems like you would freeze, and maybe it depends on your personality. And I definitely had stage fright before I got up there, but like I said, with the adrenaline rush, your brain just kind of kicks in, and like everything that you had in there that you didn't even realize you had in there just kind of clicks in. So.
And did you have to film both your episodes like the same day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
that'd be weird. It seems weird to me.
They give you like, I forget, it was 20, 30 minutes to kind of like cool in the green room. And I don't want to, because I think mine was actually the first episode of the day that was filmed. And then you have to go back, you have to change your clothes, you have to touch up your makeup to do this whole thing. And then you get like a few minutes to relax. And the funny thing is, like, you get to talk to people in the green room, but you don't know who you're going to be matched up against until like the very last minute.
Right.
Oh.
Imagine being in there against Ken Jennings. He's like, "Hey, I live here."
Right.
Or that was the same season. Or not the same season, but there was a season with like, it wasn't the same season, but there was a season where Ken Jennings was on it for like whatever reason. And I saw that when I was looking through the archive. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, and it was funny because you kind of like got to talk to a few people, but you didn't know who you were going to be on with. And I feel horrible about saying this. It's been a long time. I'm sure she was a very nice person and very nervous, but the chick who beat me the second day was very standoffish and like did not get along with people. And I'm sure she was just like,
her. Fuck her, Suzanne.
No. But anyway, when they called out the roll call for that, I was like, shit. And it just passed like a freak on the buzzer. And then like at the end when everybody's congratulating each other and talking or whatever, like I think she just didn't expect anybody to be nice to her because she was just standing there like deer in the headlights.
Stone cold killer.
And I was like, congratulations, great job. And she looked shocked. But it could have been because she noticed me glaring at her most of the time when she beat me at the buzzer.
That could be it too.
Yeah.
It's someone who's gotten that stare several times in my life. I know it well.
Several times? I'm pretty sure you've gotten it from me like
several times today.
Several times a day. Well, Suzanne, this was awesome. I knew it would be great. Thank you for coming on. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so there's also, I don't think it's the same people, but maybe it is, who do the Jeopardy archive, but there's also like somebody who like literally does like a rundown of the show every day and kind of like does highlights and whatnot and like talks about them.
That's cool.
And like it was kind of funny because like the first day I was on, they're like, oh yeah, she's really young, she's 26, like beat the crap out of the incoming champion, etc. I was like, yeah. And then the second day when the other chick beat me, like I read it and like I don't know. I still like Suzanne. That other chick seems like kind of a bitch. Like, she kind of like said that, and I was like, she was a bitch.
Validation.
Sarah
Oh,
Wilkinson.
Oh, don't say her name on here. She'll find out somehow.
Nah, she's not going to find out.
Unless she's a friend of the program, then she'll stop listening because of this.
She's not.
Sarah Wilkinson.
I'm
Hopefully you're doing well, Sarah Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But fuck you.
Oh, this was the season that they did Watson.
Oh,
it was
Watson
like,
season.
Yeah,
Was
it was in February of 11. So it was the same season that they did the three episode thing with Rudder and Jennings and Watson. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I'm just
really
looking through all the names here.
The best name, Suzanne.
Suzanne. Yep. Easily the best.
Suzanne, this was awesome.
Yes.
I heard stories I didn't even hear before. So thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Very cool.
I don't know. Maybe if we do like another Star Wars thing, God forbid we do that, we'll have you on because she's the biggest Star Wars person I know, actually.
like Mandalorian or anything like that.
We do. Maybe we'll bring you on for a Mandalorian episode just for fun.
Very strong Boba Fett opinions, obviously. So
yeah, that'll be fun. Well, Suzanne, I'll see you tomorrow at work.
Oh God, I have to see you tomorrow at work.
You get to see me tomorrow at work. Yeah,
this is like crazy. Bonus. This is like extra innings. It's free Greg.
It's free Greg.
Oh boy.
I'll do something stupid tomorrow. Who knows what it will be?
You will wait with bated breath, I am sure. Oh, hey, remember the whole thing with the hole in the kids' room shelf that I had to crawl into and grab people?
Yeah.
I mean, we could try that.
We could do that. Yeah. If we see, I was gonna say something. I'll say it at work tomorrow. I don't want to say it on the pod, but I'll say something. Remind me to mention this, and then But yeah. So Suzanne, thank you. I'll see you at the bookstore tomorrow.
It's very nice to meet you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Jeopardy champion.
Jeopardy champ. So we'll move on to number 2, which is the No Time to Die James Bond movie review. So we're going to do this a little bit differently, right? Because typically we have both seen the movie that we're reviewing. That's typically, and then we have a conversation based on, our varying thoughts on the film. In this case, you being a big Bond guy and me not really being a Bond guy at all, you saw the movie, I did not.
Yes.
So I'm basically going to interview you on your thoughts on the movie. So No Time to Die, Daniel Craig's swan song in the role of James Bond. Spoiler free. No razzle dazzle, no diaper dandy, none of that stuff. What were your thoughts on No Time to Die, James Bond?
I thought it was the perfect conclusion to the Daniel Craig era. It was kind of all the little things that made the Daniel Craig era different from, everyone else that's been James Bond. A lot of action, the women kicked ass, which is like more of what this era has been about, where like the women just aren't damsel in distresses. They also will kick ass. And that was fun. The blue eyes, the Daniel Craig blue eyes stood out, looking good in a suit. Being, I heard a quote from him say, always be known as the grumpy Bond. He becomes the grumpy Bond, but he's the grumpy Bond, but he becomes like kind of this, this happy Bond at the end, even though, the way things work out. But I honestly thought it was like a perfect conclusion. It's one of the better conclusions I've seen in an era of something in a really long time, in my opinion. I could not have asked for more from it, honestly. And I love the Daniel Craig era.
So you would recommend it for fans of the movie? Or
I would say, this is my thing. It's like, this is not the first James Bond movie you want to introduce, because there's a lot of stuff that happened that is very much what's happened in the other movies. Right. And so you kind of know, you need to know the background. if you take someone there, they're going to like the action. They're going to like, certain parts of it. They're going to like, the way people look and all that stuff, but they're not going to understand the storyline as much. Because a lot of it really is as if, if you've watched Spectre, watching it right after Spectre would be like perfect. That's not always the way things work out with movies. So it feels like it's almost like the next day after Spectre ends, you go into this movie, and, COVID stopped this movie from coming out as much as it did. And, if that hurt it to some degree, that's possible. But I think if you've watched all these, if you're a Daniel Craig Bond guy, this is like to me, like I said, the perfect conclusion.
There's been 4, correct? Or 5?
It's Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall,
so
Spectre, and this is the 5th. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so spoilers.
Yes.
Incoming. Greg says, if you're a fan of the franchise, go see this. If you're not a fan of the franchise, maybe lay off or try to check out those other movies first. So that's the spoiler-free recommendation from Greg on No Time to Die. We're getting into the spoilers now.
Yes.
Were there any plot points or characters that stuck out for you in, either a good way or a bad way?
Well, Ana de Armas is in this movie. And she's in it for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. She's awesome. And you'll know her from Knives Out. She was the star of Knives Out, and
whatever.
Yeah. And, they work together, and I'm 100% confident that Daniel Craig was like, she's awesome. We need to throw her in this movie, even if it's a little role. Because she comes in and she's like this clumsy kind of like thing. And then she just goes full bore, like just awesome agent. She's in this dress, with the high leg dress. So she looks great. And then she's just kicking people's asses. It's so much fun. And she's in and out. And you're like, oh, I could have had more of her. But like, it's good you don't, because like, she's the Bond girl in the way of like, I'm just here to like do this job and get out. So that was really good. There was nothing. The only thing, and I've heard this from other people, and I do agree with this to some degree, but not as much as other people said, is that Rami Malek as the villain in this movie, he's weird. And I've described it as if John Mulaney was playing Rami Malek and he was told that you're playing Rami Malek in a James Bond movie, which sounds very weird.
Yeah,
but
it's super convoluted.
It's super convoluted, but if you've watched John Mulaney do comedy before he stopped doing drugs, when he was funny, and then you think about Rami Malek, who's weird, and then you combine those into a thing, he's a very weird character in this movie, very weird. There could have been a little more interaction maybe in the middle of the movie with he and James Bond. You don't get a lot of that. You get a lot at the end. Something in the middle would have been like maybe a little bit more fun, but at the end, it does work out at the end. So I would say that Léa Seydoux is great. She is a perfect, Bond girl, pretty, but still, there's that edge to her. And, this is, to me, for Daniel Craig, this is the most like acting he's had to do in one of these movies. Like pure on like Skyfall, he does a lot of acting, but this is like a lot of, you're sending, he's done. This is his last movie. And so there's a lot of him actually expressing emotion. A lot of the fun stuff of him just being, a good actor of like, doing his stunts, doing things like that. And so there's nothing like, I will say this movie, they say it was long. It was a long movie. It's the longest James Bond movie ever. It flew by for me.
That's kind of the next question. It has gotten some criticism for its runtime, which is around 2 hours and 45 minutes. Was it too long in the tooth, or do you think it was the proper length for a send off?
It was, to me, the proper length. I never once thought about like this movie being long. Every time there was like maybe a little slow, not a slow part, but just a building part to the next thing. Here's an action sequence, or here's something that's really important heading forward. I've watched, there's movies that are shorter than this that I felt much, much longer. They really knew what they were doing putting this together. So I thought it flew by. I thought everything mattered. It was definitely a movie where like, I always joke around about the last Lord of the Rings, where like that last half hour just kills me. and takes me away from the actual enjoyment of those movies because I don't need the 80s montage of what everybody's up to in that movie. There's nothing like that. I mean, on the spoiler, James Bond does die in this movie, and it's the only James Bond movie where James Bond dies, which I think was fitting in this sense is because everyone loved Daniel Craig as James Bond. And so you had to get him out somehow other than just saying he was done doing this because he wanted to be done doing it too. And he's had interviews with that. But there is a point in time where it's like, Sean Connery was just bored with it. And, and other people, Pierce Brosnan just wasn't James Bond. Those movies they are what they are. They're not my favorite at all. And so they had to move on, and you got they almost, 7-8 years in between, Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig for these James Bond movies. So for me, it was everything I wanted from a Daniel Craig James Bond movie at the end. Is it as good as Skyfall? No, because I also think Skyfall should have been nominated for Best Picture. I think Skyfall is one of the top 5 movies of the last 10 years. I will stand by that, and I will 100% stand by that. That movie is terrific, and I watched it today, and to me, it was still as good as ever.
How can James Bond die and it continue? Explain this to me.
Well, there's always been this theory about James Bond is that isn't his real name, and that's just the name they give to 007.
Yeah, that's what I mean is
even though 007 takes over, 007 takes over in this movie, there's also that kind of thing. But, it's just one of those things where there's always been different James Bond. So it is what it is on that end. It's one of those things where don't think too much about it. It's like Steve Rogers is Captain America, but then there's a new Captain America. There's a new Captain America.
Yeah, but that makes sense because Captain America is not Steve Rogers. It's
just a name that the MI6 gives someone. That's always been the theory behind it. Okay. There's never, it's based off a book series, and that's, it's a popular book series, and spy stuff is always really cool. So people just want to keep going with that name forever. So I think, it's one of those things, don't think too much about it. Just kind of let that be, because that's not the important part other than just saying, Bond, James Bond, and I like my martinis shaken, not stirred.
So, power rank the Daniel Craig Bond movies.
All right, Skyfall #1 with a bullet. Casino Royale, really good. No Time to Die. Quantum of Solace and Spectre. In the actual rankings of how good the movie is, I've seen Quantum of Solace probably 25 times. I love that movie. It is batshit crazy. If you just want to watch a ridiculous movie with a ton of action and not a lot of plot, and you just want to have escapism, to me, it's the most perfect of that kind of movie. The plot lines are very loose, but you got Daniel Craig just literally kicking ass because he's pissed off. And he even did an interview where he's like, making this movie was a shit show. And I love it. I love every second of it. But it's my 4th favorite. Spectre is okay. It was just, I think a lot of problems with Spectre that I agree with and other people agree with is that it almost gets too broad. And so that's probably why it's my 5th one. And somebody had to be 5, or some movie had to be 5. That's just the issue. I think all of these are really, really good.
So I've seen Skyfall. It's the only Bond movie I've ever actually seen the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And it was fine. But to say that it was one of the top 5 movies of the last 10 years to me is preposterous. And you've said some humdingers on this show.
I remember leaving the theater going, this has to be nominated for an Academy. Because it's so well done. I mean, it is the perfect spy movie.
Yeah, like I said, that's the only one that I can speak authoritatively on, and I profoundly disagree with you.
I would challenge you to go back and watch it and just take it in for a spy movie. It's always like what I say about The Winter Soldier. Take that in as not a Marvel movie, and
But that's the
I
thing
also
is,
love
if you
spy
want to say
movies.
that it's one of the best, if you want to say it's the best spy movie of the last 10 years,
I
but I
need
think
to go
saying
back.
that it's the
I need to
best,
go back
one
and
of the
look
best
at the.
5 movies of the last 10 years
I
is,
think that's pretty easy to say.
I don't
There
think it
hasn't been
is.
that many good movies in the past 10 years.
Yeah, there's been at least 5 better than Skyfall.
None of the best picture movies were better in the past 10 years.
All right, now
I can 100% say that. Because you can throw Green Book and you can throw The Shape of Water just completely out the window. So there's 2 out of there. It's a really good movie. It's a really good movie. And it's usually ranked number 1 by everyone on Bond movies, which is a lot of movies, a lot of really good movies, a lot of not bad movies, a lot of weird movies, and then like 2 bad movies.
Okay, I'm pulling the winners up from the last 10 years.
Well, I would just pick up. I would say just okay.
Of best
but
pictures.
I mean,
Of
best picture is so dumb because Crash is one best picture, and Shape of Water and Titanic are best picture, and none of those movies are good. So I would just say pick the year that it could have been nominated, and then it should have been in the top 10. I'm saying it should have won best picture, but it was definitely should have been nominated.
I don't need. All right, this is too convoluted, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to disagree. I'm just going to carte blanche. I'm just going to disagree with you.
You can disagree,
but that's
it's fine
fine
to disagree.
It's fun to disagree.
Yeah, it's fine to disagree.
No, it's fun to disagree.
It's also fine.
I can think of 5 Marvel movies better than Skyfall, like off the rip.
I can't think of 5.
I can think of at least. Yeah, I definitely.
I can think of 3 better than Skyfall.
I can think of 5.
Okay.
So that's just me, and that's not including, the Dark Knight.
Dark Knight's not in the last 10 years.
What year was Dark Knight? I thought it
was
was
like 2009.
10. Oh, okay.
That's also not in the past 10 years.
Dark Knight Rises. Interstellar,
not better.
Yeah, good, definitely better. Definitely better. Who would you like to see take over as Bond from Daniel Craig? We'll just move on. We'll agree to disagree.
I've heard a bunch of different people. Tom Hardy is my guy. Because I have 2 things with Bond. Is A, you got to be tough, and B, you got to look like you've seen some shit. And you can't have somebody that's clean shaven and hasn't lifted weights. You got to have somebody that looks like, because the whole Bond storyline is like, this guy's been through it. Every time you actually meet Bond, this guy's already been through a lot of shit. And so Tom Hardy is my number 1 with the bullet. My hopeful storyline is that Tom Hardy does this for 5 to 7 years, and then that leads to Robert Pattinson post Batman taking over the realm for another 5. Yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Is he?
Yeah, he's very British.
I thought he was from the Pacific Northwest.
No, he's very British. So that's my 10 to 14 year plan for Bond is Tom Hardy to Robert Pattinson.
I think that Bond should be Rupert Grint, who played Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter movies. He's just
oh my god, that'd be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, just run it straight into the ground. No, I'm kidding. I think they're really going to push for either a person of color or a woman to be the character.
If it's a woman, that doesn't sell. Like if you want to go with Idris Elba or something, that's fine with me. But a person, that's just not going to work. It will not work.
Idris Elba is a strong choice.
He's a strong choice, but he's kind of like backed out of it recently for different reasons. So, that's but I mean, there's a certain thing like Batman is going to be a man. Superman's going to be a man. Spider-Man's going to be a man movie. It's like James Bond is going to be, I'm sorry if this sounds weird or sexist. It's like, that's just the way the world works. If you want to make a spy thriller with a woman as a star, that's awesome. I'm down. I'm here for it because I love a spy thriller. But James Bond is James Bond. And like I said, I hope it's Tom Hardy because I think that would be great. I think he would be a different kind of thing because he's, Tom Hardy, who is a good actor and has done stuff where he's actually talks and things like that. But this could be a thing where he doesn't a lot of more of emotion, facial things. We know he's funny now from doing Venom. He can do things like that. My concern would be if that carries forward, because once you're Bond, you're kind of Bond. you can do a few things in between, but you are Bond.
Yeah, that's
but
the
Tom
thing.
Hardy
Somebody's
is
gonna have to give up, like you said, 5 to 7 years or more.
Wish I was British. I was just say one of the most disappointing days of my life is when I realized that you had to be born in England and be an English heritage to be in the MI6. That was sad to me because I have loved James Bond since I was like 7 or 8 years old. And when I realized to be in the MI6, you had to be of being born in Britain. And I mean, I have like some British heritage, but to be born in Britain, that was a very sad day for me. So I will just say that because I really wanted to be a spy since I was a very young child.
You can still be a spy,
but not like a cool MI6 spy. I wanted to be a cool MI6 spy. I still actually, now I'm too dumb. Like they recruit you out of like freaking MIT or something like that. I also found out like to be in the CIA, like you don't apply to be a spy. Well, it's a fun little thing. They recruit you out of like MIT. It was just like, I don't know, that's smart. No, it's like, whoa. I would love to be a spy though. I think that'd be so much fun.
I'm convinced that my friend Sean, you know him, Sean Birdie.
Sean Birdie?
I'm convinced he
might be a spy.
Guess what? He lives in Washington. He's grizzled. Wears a lot of turtlenecks. He can be unaccounted for months at a time.
I haven't seen Sean in a really long time. Last time I saw him was at your wedding.
Right.
And we just kept buying each other drinks the entire night.
Did he have a suit on?
I also had a suit on.
Yeah, but did he have a suit on?
He did have a suit.
Guess what he had on the following morning? Turtleneck. No Time to Die won the domestic box office.
I had a hangover.
56 million and surpassed 300 million globally. Venom 2 came in second with 32 million. The latest Bond film and the last Daniel Craig era cost close to 250 million before marketing and has a nearly 3-hour runtime. The film is yet to open in China, which could bolster its payday. However, executives were disappointed with the opening numbers. The film will have a few weeks to breathe, with Dune set to open October 22nd in the US and on HBO Max, and Marvel's The Eternals opening November 5th. So
I'm surprised that it had that. Yeah, we went to the theater. That was the most packed theater we've been in throughout this. And
really, that's crazy. So we'll move on from one super spy to another set of super spies with MTV's The Challenge, Spies, Lies, and Allies.
All right, so here we are at topic number 3, MTV's The Challenge. After last week's elimination winners, Corey and Bettina were told to rejoin the group without picking new teammates. We knew we were in for a twist. And twist us, TJ did. The game would now be played as individuals on teams. The daily challenge saw agents have to compete a run and solve a puzzle and then divide up into 3 color-based teams. Or if you want to stick with the lame-ass theme, cells. Super lame, by the way. The Emerald Cell wins the rest of the daily challenge, making them the agency. They then choose to compromise one agent. They choose Priscilla, which everyone saw coming. Twist number 2 is that the compromise agent gets to pick who they will compete against, and she chooses 2-time champ Ashley. Ashley wins the elimination pretty easily, and then twist number 3 is that she can choose to infiltrate any other cell, including the agency. She, however, chooses to stay with the Sapphire cell. We then get a look at the rest of the season in the next preview. So a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah, a lot of twists. What was your thought regarding the decisions made? So as they finished up the portion where it was essentially a schoolyard pick to pick, who was going to be on which teams. What did you make of the way those teams kind of shook out?
I mean, I was thinking to myself while they're a thing where it's picking teams there, I was like, there's obviously going to be a power team and a not power team. I thought the middle team, the Emerald team, the Sapphire team ended up being better than it probably should have been. It was kind of weird the way that like worked out. And it's a thing because Ashley and her name just escaped me all of a sudden, Amanda are friends. And so that really helped because they're both good. I mean, that's the one thing we learned too, is Ashley's like competitive nature really showed in this episode, as much as like, you know, we talk about her being a 2-time defending champ in quotes, it did show. And I think, you know, obviously the Emerald team has got, you know, a lot going for it, but the Ruby team was just hilarious. I mean, it's a disgrace. And it kind of showed you, I mean, it was funny. It was like, you know, and this is life in general. Like you never stop picking, you know, the dodgeball team in life. And even if it's a some TV show, but it can be anything. Like there's work things where that happens, where they're like, hey, you know, pick someone to do this project with. And then you're like, well, I'm not picking this person. And, you know, and so that kind of stuff just shows out. So it's just sort of funny that we got that. I like the idea of it because I knew it couldn't just be purely individual. I didn't know how they were going to do it. You know, I thought my initial thing when I was watching this episode, right at the beginning, is I said this out loud. I was like, TJ's going to pick their teams. I just thought that was going to be the thing. He's like, you know, whether it was drawn from a hat or he just said, this is what I'm doing. So I like that. The fact that they're on teams is kind of like odd when it's individual, but the twist of that, you get to pick who goes in there with you and then you can infiltrate, I think is like a great, everything about it was good. I thought the teams, I actually still think that the Sapphire team's the best when it actually gets down to it. I think they'll end up being
third girl. Oh, Bettina.
Yeah.
And she showed out in last week's elimination. So
So I think they are actually going to probably end up being the best. My favorite moment of the show is when Tori was freaking out at the beginning. And she's like, we are all stressing out. And then CT's just laying in bed, covering his face, not at all fazed by this, which was my favorite moment. And I think a good sign of things going forward. But
and I thought as well, it was finally evident when it became a schoolyard pick. And they finally, as he rounds the corner, you know, holding his sledgehammer over his shoulder, they're like, okay, here comes the number one draft. You know, they finally kind of demonstrated a little bit of respect for his legacy. I think my initial thing was I didn't understand the cells. Like I asked out loud like several times to Melissa as we were watching. I'm like, is this an ongoing thing or just a this episode thing? But it seems like it's an ongoing thing. It kind of confused me. I didn't think that they did a great job of conveying that. I'm still not convinced that the skulls are not part of this picture. That was going to be my thought, was that when the individual elimination started, that you know, they'd be competing for skulls now, and you need a skull to compete in TJ's final. I'm still not 100% sure that that's not next when we get to next week that he's going to say
17 people.
Right. And that's
so there's a lot still happening.
And you know, there's still 17 people, and now we're only eliminating one person an episode. So this show is going to go on until Christmas of 2023. You know, and it's funny that we say that, like, this was the 10th episode, and there's going to be at least 10 more. You
has to be 10 more, I would think.
You know, or thereabouts. But so what did you make strategically of them voting Priscilla in and then Priscilla calling down Ashley?
I thought that Priscilla she basically got called in for shaking things up.
Right. And she
as a rookie. And she knew that. And she, you know, I think she was she wasn't shocked at all.
Right.
And then she picked Ashley because she's been like, that was the battle was between her and Ashley. So I think I think the way it played out was the way it should have played out. And the fact that she got called down, she went against Ashley. Ashley's has won. And then she ended up winning, you know, in the end, because like, this is still a rookie. This is still someone that doesn't. And also like when she was kicking to get the tire, I thought that was dumb. because that's how I always dig things out, is by kicking the ground.
Right.
So that just showed like that's a rookie mistake, as it were. It was, why am I digging? We always dig with our feet and not our hands, and it was a bad move. So I think the way it played out was exactly. I even said when she went up against Ashley, I'm like, well, Ashley's going to win whatever this is. Just even if it's I just had no faith in Priscilla winning this time around. I realized like this is where the shakedown happens. She's out. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought she had a better chance than the fight she put up. I was a little bit disappointed with.
It was a blowout.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. And I guess that, like you said, that says that did show Ashley's competitive spirit. And I would say the other two things that were very funny to me were Ashley's argument for not being voted in was our argument.
Yes.
Which is, I'm a 2-time champ because I've had good partners.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of funny to see her kind of use that. And then the other thing was, and this is kind of, tangential or whatever, but when Tori and CT were talking and she's like, Amber B's out. And
yeah,
CT's like, yeah, I mean, she's good at running and that's about it.
Yeah.
Which is, again, BXG analysis.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
we're vets. We're vets of this show.
Yeah. Yeah. We understand how the game is played. Not saying we could go in and play it, especially me in my shape.
I think I can go in and do okay.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not in any kind of shape.
Oh, I thought you said you don't think. I think I'm still good enough to get in there and make. I don't think I could win because I'm not strong enough to win something like that.
Yeah,
but I
no
think
offense,
I can hang
man.
around.
You could put in a hall brawl against like Corey.
Oh no, I'm not
saying
I would, but I think I would make a better showing. Plus, I would definitely do like steroids if I knew I was on the show, so that would definitely help. Let's pound muscle milk and steroids and lift a ton of weights if I knew I was going to be on the show. But I think I would do okay based purely on I know how to play the game.
Right.
The twist, because Devin never does anything.
Right.
He's smart. That's his biggest thing. His biggest muscle is his brain. And I know it's an organ, but that's what he actually how he stays around on.
Here's the thing. And I will echo the great Nelly T. People don't remember the mission winners. They only remember the champions.
That's right.
And I don't know what that has to do with this conversation. I just wanted to quote Nelly.
Oh, you got to quote friend of the program.
Yeah. So I actually had, we have a listener inquiry about the challenge, and this is a fun one. It comes from John Kish. And his question is, if you could live inside of the head of one challenger for a day, being John Malkovich style, who would it be and why? He also clarified that he doesn't want either of us to answer as Josh.
Ah, damn. Okay. That's a good one. I probably would say Devin.
Okay.
Because I feel like knowing Devin's hamster wheel doesn't stop.
Yeah.
He's always thinking of a way to not do stuff, which I respect, and to get everyone on his side. I don't know if anyone's done more, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I just don't know if anyone's done more with less actual activity than he has ever on this show.
Right.
He's friends with everyone and he makes things work, even though he's slimy, he's slimy, but other people. Yeah. And yet he's still, I think it'd be fun just to feel and I could have gone dirty and I didn't go dirty. So kudos to me, not going dirty.
Right.
Devin, I think would be hilarious because I think just that would never stop.
I think for me, it's a toss up between Kyle and Nelson. And I think because
I don't want to be in Kyle's head.
Kyle's so witty.
Mm-hmm.
He's very funny.
He is very funny.
And I would just like to see the whole house from Kyle's point of view. And I think also as well, the other side of that being Nelson would be Nelson finds a way every season for his mouth to get him in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Just when you think that Nelson kind of maybe has put it all together, he just has an episode where he just completely melts down. And we kind of saw that in the preview with Kyle. They get in each other's grill. You know, I don't know which one of those guys I'm piloting in that situation. I don't know, you know.
I honestly feel like this is just based on me knowing you. I say you're more of a person in Kyle's brain than you would be a person in Nelson's brain.
Yeah. I think I could learn something from being in Kyle's brain, whereas being in Nelson's brain would just be like being in a theme park for me.
Sure.
I will mean that Nelson, in the most complimentary way possible.
Right. Yeah. We both, I mean, when we say friend of the pro, we actually do like Nelson and find him hilarious. And
double Nelly T.
Double Nelly T. I would say that my best description of Nelson would be he's a 1,000-piece puzzle where one piece is missing. And you can put that thing together every single time. Well, what I'm saying is that from like afar, it looks okay. But then the closer you get, you notice that flaw, and he always, like you said, he always figures out a way to just screw himself. And I think that's probably, I mean, the preview at least made it seem like that. So,
right. Yeah. So moving forward, seeing the twists of the game play out and how they can potentially go about things. Who do you like? Who do you like as a favorite, man and woman, and then maybe a dark horse for both?
I would say CT and Amanda. Really
like.
Yeah.
To win?
To win. Yep. Because they brought up this whole baby thing. And once
Corey's been riding that angle for 5 seasons.
I know, but it's different because she's a woman and she's a single woman taking care of a baby. And she was on the front lines during COVID. I'm a plot line person on this show. I'd love to think everything's kosher, but you never know. They really played into that. She's just good enough. And if it becomes some sort of like team challenge at the end, she's athletic enough to do some of the little things, and she is smart. So I think that, and I didn't think that until this episode. And then I was like, wow, they're playing this angle hard all episode with her. So it's that like feel good story thing. And then my dark horse, I'm going to say Josh. I think Josh, friend of the program. And I'm going to go, oh man, who would be my woman? That would be the toughest one. I'll say Nani, another like a feel good pick. You know, she's never won. And I'm not saying this based on like my, you know, like enjoyment of looking at her. I'm saying based purely on storyline, plot line. Plus, like no one picks her anymore. She's like it's another one of these things where she's been there so long, people kind of forget she exists.
Right.
And that helps you on this show tremendously.
Yeah, sometimes. I think picking CT is it's almost too obvious at this point for 2 reasons. Number one, and this is why I think that the Skulls have a chance to come back. No one is going to vote him in and then let him pick the person that he's facing. And then no one's going to pick like willingly to go against him. You know what I mean? It's the whole thing of we need to get vets who have won championships out of here. It's so stacked against him, or I'm sorry, stacked for him. It's almost like a Kentucky Duke, New England Patriots thing, where it's like he's so far and away the favorite that he can't possibly win. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's weird, but I mean, unless they decide to do another twist, based purely on what the game is right now, it is so set up for him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It crazy.
So
it might be the easiest route he's ever had if the show stays like it is.
Right. So I it'd be foolish to not call him the favorite from the male side. From the female side, I think you've got a handful of strong women. I think Ashley kind of showed that maybe she is a little bit more on her game this season than she has been the last couple seasons. I think from a purely physical standpoint, Tori's a threat. I think that Casey's pretty like well-rounded.
Yeah.
So I could really see any of those 3 winning. As far as dark horses go, I feel like I feel like Corey, and I said this last season, like this feels like a Corey season to me. And I'm to the point now where it's almost like he's almost to the point where CT was, where it was like, this feels like a CT season every season until he finally won. Because I think that Corey is going to just stick around until he wins, or he's going to be the next Leroy. You know what I mean?
I think Corey reminds me of like Chris Paul.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I think that's my like that where he's good and he's always good and he's considered one of the best. He's one of the best to do this. He's the one. He's maybe the best to never win in the format that we have now. The people we have now. They're active members of this.
Yeah, because I would say like Leroy is.
Well, Leroy's the best probably ever.
To never win.
But he's retired. I bet he comes back. But
we'll see. I don't know.
Got a good business going for him.
Yeah, that's true. And then as far as like a dark horse for the women, I would say Emmy, because if it gets to the point in a final where she can get basically exactly what Corey said, he pegged her like totally perfectly. If she's got a vocal, strong leader, she's going to do well. But if she doesn't have that, or I said, Corey's not who said that.
Who was it? It was
Devin.
Oh my God. It was Devin. Yeah.
Devin or Josh. Yeah. One of those.
I think it was Devin.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing is like, if she can get kind of paired up with somebody who's stronger, then I think she could do well.
And the only reason I didn't say Devin, even though I respect the hell out of him for what he does, is eventually there's something physical.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't proven that yet.
Right. All right. Moving on from MTV's The Challenge, which it's worth noting that The Challenge All-Star Season 2 has been announced, as well as the cast. No one really, a couple people bowed out, which was probably for the best based on their health and safety protocols. And I don't mean that over COVID. I just mean these people are on the older side and they weren't ready for TJ's final. No one really knew of note. Kahada is probably the only one. He's got like
his hair is so it was
unrecognizable
to me.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Other than that, there wasn't really, no one super notable. Darrell's back, Derek's back, so on and so forth. No Anissa. I wonder if she had the shoulder injury from the most recent.
She might be
season,
done.
So she might be at least taking off a season from All Stars. Number 4, we will move on to number 4. And Demi Lovato wants to stay out of the spotlight, but can't shut up about dumb shit news. The entertainer recently said we shouldn't call extraterrestrials aliens because aliens is a derogatory word at any level. And that is why Lovato prefers to call them ETs. This comes as Lovato is set to host a show about searching for ETs. It seems unlikely that Lovato will find any, because if ETs are looking for intelligent life forms, they will stop traveling to Earth the second they see the comment Lovato made. The question at hand is this: do we really have to overanalyze every single thing we say now? Which seems like everyone is looking to cancel anyone all the time, or saying something like this to bring up something literally no one has ever said before. Do we believe this may eventually level off? And this is going to be probably a bigger and more pertinent topic a little bit down the line when we get to the Pop Culture Potpourri. I was convinced that at some point, like wrestling music was going to come in my ear as I was reading this, that this was like some notes.
No, this is me just because I'm so sick of Demi Lovato, where she like sorry everyone. Demi Lovato always says, I just don't want to be in the spotlight anymore. And then she said, God damn it. Whatever. Demi Lovato says stuff like this, where like no one in the history of time has been like, aliens is a bad word. No one.
Illegal
aliens. Legal aliens, but I mean in the sense of talking about, people from space coming down.
Right.
And then she says this. I'm going to say she. I don't give a shit. Anyhow, so this brought me. So I was sent this story by Jamie, and then I was thinking, so is this where we're at now? We're like, you know, even though this hasn't been, you know, we're talking about this at large, but now are we just gonna have to consider every word we say now, every single thing, and just can we talk about anything, and can we be, you know, allowed to be funny at some point, even if it's at like, you know, this is the thing, like you and I have talked about this before about like, you know, can things be funny anymore? Because you can't make fun of anything. And that's kind of the point about being funnier. It's kind of the point about being anything is like you have to be able to take a hit. Like that's always been one of my things is that if you can make fun of someone, you should be able to be made fun of. And this is this thing where it's just like aliens is so it's such a stupid term. And for her to bring this up when she's always talking about not being in the spotlight, now she's doing this. And it's like, what are we allowed to do now as society? That's really where I'm at, because I feel like the cancel culture, and I hate saying that because I actually hate that term, but it's like, what is going on right now? What is happening in the world where like everything is so insane? And we're going to get in with Dave Chappelle, but
why don't we just do that?
Just get into it
rather
just get
than
into it.
wait
Yeah.
until Pop Culture Potpourri.
Yeah.
Netflix is facing pressure to remove Dave Chappelle's latest special, The Closer. Due to insensitive jokes regarding the trans community, this is not the controversial comedian's first brush with the LGBTQI plus community, as other recent specials have poked fun at the group, specifically Caitlyn Jenner. I'm going to read. There was an article on IGN that I was going to. Maybe this is it. No, it's just video. So he made some jokes, and I think that there's a lot of pressure internally from IGN, or I'm sorry, from Netflix to take this special down. And so I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet, but I asked Dallas, you know, contributing correspondent, what his thoughts were on it. And he said that it's really, you have to take the entire special into context.
Sure.
And part of the problem is that, you know, you're picking a few lines here or a few lines there out of context, which we do for fun with out of context videos, right?
Yeah.
But you're taking a few, and then, you know, it's like the line item veto from back in the day, where it's just like, well, we're going to take this line and we're going to have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But when you look at the entire special as a whole, and there's maybe some more skin to some of these jokes, Dave Chappelle hired a trans person for some position at some point along the line. I don't, and this is secondhand information, but it's apparently it comes up in the special. Hired a trans person, never said anything about it, never put them on blast, never dragged them through anything, and you know, it was that person eventually got outed and then dragged through things to the point where they committed suicide. And so part of it is, you know, he's pissed off about that, is part of the slant. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, you know, the other aspect is, it's kind of like the purpose of comedy is to analyze things. And, you know, you're never going to make everybody happy in terms of like, if you're in that position, because I could go up on a stage and tell a bunch of jokes that poke fun at like Trump supporters and, you know, right-wing people, and, you know, all of the things that I see, what, you know, the white wing, the right supremacists, all these different things, you know, and it would make everybody who's a liberal laugh, right? And it would piss everybody who's on that side of the aisle, piss them off. And conversely, the next night I could go out on the same stage and, you know, tell a bunch of jokes about like, give me your tears, liberals and libtards and all this stuff. And it would piss those people off, and it would make these people happy. And so I think it just comes down to, and Chappelle has this bit, and I'm not sure if it's on this special or another one, where someone approaches him in a parking lot and says, Dave Chappelle, I heard your comedy. And he said, from who? Were you following me around? You either followed me around or you paid a ticket, and you don't seem like the type of person to pay a ticket. And so that's kind of my thing, is like, it's kind of like I feel at times like it's a witch hunt to just be, to be upset about things, when it's perfectly acceptable for you to just not fucking tune in. Like, if you're offended by the things that Dave Chappelle says, or the things that Anthony Jeselnik says, or the things that Louis C.K. say, or the things that George Carlin or Richard Pryor, Lenny Bruce, who are all offensive in some regard, you do have the option to just not fucking watch it.
Right.
And, you know, so that's my sort of thing on all of this, you know, right or wrong, as far as like, and kind of to circle the whole way back to fucking Demi Lovato, is that, like, don't be the person who's on a witch hunt for the next thing to be upset about.
Yeah.
Because you are perfectly well within your rights to not consume that media. If you think Greg and I are idiots and we're assholes, you don't have to listen to this podcast.
Download it.
Subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe again. Leave us kind reviews. But it's just one of those things. It's like, that's the thing that that really frustrates me. And we don't get too heavy with topics like this, but like, it's the thing that really frustrates me, is that there's just so many people, you know, I don't even think it's, you know, quote unquote cancel culture so much as it is just like rage culture. You know what I mean?
And I think, like, you and I mean, but the one thing we both appreciate is comedy, and high form comedy. And like, and that's the thing. It's just like, sometimes it is somewhat, you know, I don't want to say offensive, because I don't even think it is offensive. I think what it is it's observational humor based on like what's going on around. And it's like, if it's offensive to you, then you're probably, my thing has always been, if something is actually that offensive to you, but it isn't actually a personal attack, like Dave Chappelle is not coming out and calling out my mom.
Right.
Okay. So if it's something that isn't actually like that, technically that close to you, then you are taking something too seriously.
Yeah.
And if you're taking things that seriously, if you want to make fun of white males, go ahead. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, that is attacking us. But also,
but that's the whole Louis CK
but my
thing,
thing,
oh man, called me a cracker, ruined my day. It's like, you can't, like, that's like,
what my point on that is, that like, that is not as strong as calling out people in a minority, and I 100% agree with that.
Right.
But it's like, if you're looking for it, you'll find it. But if you aren't, you're not going to find it. Like, like you said, you don't have to go out and find these things.
Yeah.
Comedy is a thing. And like, there's plenty of pro, you know, whatever culture you are, there's plenty of pro comedy in that realm. It's just like, we don't need to attack Dave Chappelle over something like that. We don't. And also, it just makes people want to watch that more.
Well,
that's another thing too. Yeah, that's
you
another
are
thing. Like,
fanning the flames. You know, it's like the Lil Nas X shoes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If Nike just lets that ride, nobody pays attention to it.
Right.
And now you have people who aren't necessarily interested in Dave Chappelle, and they're going to seek out at minimum that bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you're just pointing to if you're trying to fight against this, and that's the thing is, like, I get like the argument that was being made. I see both sides of the coin, right? But it is, you know, the whole thing, like, you know, speaking negatively about something spreads like a hate culture or whatever. I mean, it's just like all these terms, but like, if you're going to spend your life in a witch hunt, or you're spending, you know, trying to seek out things to be offended by, you are going to live a miserable fucking life, period.
Yes. And I'll just say my found on this is, if Dave Chappelle makes you dislike a certain group of people from something where he's actually making, you already hated that anyhow.
Yes.
And that you're just looking at for an excuse. It's
you're
like,
looking
you
for
know,
validation.
You're looking for validation. And Dave Chappelle
confirmation bias.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just looking
bias.
for that. He's making a joke. You're just like, well, Dave Chappelle said. You're just, that's all it is. It's like you say, and you've already been a miserable person up to this. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, that's, I would honestly like to get this from like someone that actually is, trans, to watch the whole thing and not just this thing, and then see what they say about this.
Right.
That's what it is actually what I would like to have on. If someone wants to come on the show and talk about it, that'd be awesome. I would love that.
And it's just it's the thing that I can get over is just like, I just feel like in today's age, there's a lot of people looking for the next thing to be upset about. And
for sure.
I acknowledge fully that it is a struggle being a trans person, being a gay person, being a black person, being basically anything other than a white man. I get that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is like white privilege is a thing. I'm not here to
it's 100%
say that it's not. And I do understand that. But like, rather than if you feel physically threatened, that's one thing. Obviously.
Right.
That does not deserve to happen to anyone. And if someone feels the need to watch a Dave Chappelle stand up and then physically threaten someone, then that person's a piece of shit.
That person already had problems. Like, that wasn't the special. That's the thing. All this stuff is already happened. Dave Chappelle's not. He's not doing anything to,
Right.
That's the
thing. And but that's the thing is like, we try to steer away from a lot of this stuff. Because it is divisive and what have you, and we try to stay away from politics. But that's the thing is like, I am offended by the stupidity of people in this world. That's what you need to be offended by.
Yep.
By dumb people. You know what I mean? And that's what I find offensive.
Right.
That's what I find offensive. And you can cast that however you want to cast it. But I also don't spend time looking for these people. I live my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It would be very easy for me to get into a fight with somebody, either verbally, physically, Twitter feud, whatever, with people who have differing opinions than I do. But I don't, because I don't want to live that life. I don't want to be miserable and just, you know, be a troll, basically. You know what I mean? So that's my thing, is just, and with that being said, is that the reality of it is, and to kind of circle back the whole way to the beginning, is that aliens being a derogatory word versus ETs is, I'm telling you right now, if any aliens, I'm using that term, and I don't care if it's derogatory, if any aliens are conspiring to make their way to planet Earth, then guess what? They're aliens, because there's not going to be anything benevolent about them, and they're going to kill us all.
But also download the podcast.
If you're an alien.
If you're an alien, download. Yeah.
I got super serious for a while, and I didn't like it.
It was a lot.
Yeah. Heavy.
But that's what I want. We had to do it. Every once in a while, you got to do things like that, Yeah,
I guess.
And we'll move on to something that is heavy hands, but not a heavy topic. Fury Wilder 3, which ended up being one of the best heavyweight boxing matches ever. I don't think I'm hyperbole right there. I think that's actually accurate, with two big dudes just smacking each other around and people falling down. So Brent, you actually watched this fight. I didn't watch it live. I had a lot of other things going on sports wise, and I haven't had the background with this fight as much, but what were your impressions just seeing it?
So first initially? Of all, I think, Eddie McDonald wrote in and said that he thought that Fury Wilder was way better than he expected, and that Fury was just the better boxer. I think that it's just from a standpoint of, so Wilder looked way better in the first round. And I watched the second fight also, where Fury just wiped the mat with him, right? And then he blamed it on his Lady Gaga armor.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I was, as a guy who likes Tyson Fury, I was concerned because he looked fat. Like, he looked fat.
He did look fat. Yeah.
And it was the most he'd ever weighed, 277. And Wilder came in at like 235 or something. I couldn't believe the weight difference. It was crazy. I don't understand how that's a thing. But I guess heavyweight is, whatever and above. And that's the thing is, like, as far as like strategy goes, I think in both fights, there was just a lot of, 2 and 3. I didn't see the first one. It was a lot of Tyson just using his size. He's 6'9", 277 pounds.
Big dude.
He's a huge man. And he's using his size to, throw a few combos, and then he's just laying on him. He's just, he's clutching. He's leaning on him. And that fatigued Wilder because the first probably 4 rounds minus the third, I thought Wilder was the better fighter. Now in the third, Fury caught him and knocked him down, and I didn't think he was going to get back up. And when he did, he looked like he didn't know what dimension he was in. And so for him to come back and knock down Fury twice, although I contest that one of those was a slip.
That was a slip, but yeah, I saw the highlights and everything. Yeah, it was a slip.
I think Deontay Wilder showed a ton of heart. He got knocked down. He got knocked down in the third. He got knocked down in the 10th. I couldn't believe he got back up in the 10th. And then he got knocked down in the 11th, and the ref was waving it off before he even hit the mat.
Yeah.
And it was a case of, when he finally like came to and they got him back to his corner, he didn't know. He didn't know what day. He didn't know who the president was. He didn't know who he was. Because, I mean, if you like, the crazy thing about it is, like, I really like watching the fights as they happen, because you get that in between the rounds where they slow down the combos, because it doesn't look like they get hit that badly in real time.
Right.
And then when they slow it down and you're like, oh my God, he got clocked. It's a whole nother thing. But yeah, it was a great fight. And I think, Fury's hitting his prime, but my thing is, I don't know where he goes from here. Right.
What I mean? Yeah.
So I don't know. Anthony Joshua was lost and exercised his right for an immediate rematch. So Fury's just going to be sitting there. He's going to have to fight somebody. And the problem is, when you're a champion, you get into that situation where you just kind of have to fight somebody. That's when like weird shit happens and you get upset by somebody that you shouldn't lose to. So we'll see, but I like heavyweights, man. I think heavyweights matter. I think that, like, as great a fighter as Floyd Mayweather is, or Pacquiao, or some of these guys,
Triple G and
Triple G.
this.
Well, Triple G, Canelo Alvarez. There's just something about big dudes slugging it out that just feels right. You know what I mean?
I'll say, like, I prefer, like, Canelo Alvarez is probably my favorite current day boxer, because that is a guy that is, like, technically everything you want. Like, what I mean? And Floyd Mayweather, our friend Tyler was talking about, like, the fact that Mayweather, the ability to not get hit is awesome.
Yeah.
But
that's not boring. Super entertaining. Yeah, exactly.
It's boring, but it is awesome to not get hit. And that's what Floyd. But Canelo Alvarez is, like, to me, he's my favorite current day boxer on that end of things, where, like, he can kind of combine both things. He's middleweight, but he can still hit guys and he can avoid things and things like that. But there is, I used to super be in the heavyweights. I just fell out of it, for whatever reason. But there is a thing about just watching guys beat the shit out of each other. There is a thing like that.
If you think back, like, through time, you know what I mean? It's always like, when boxing kind of comes and goes in terms of popularity, but you can look back through time at, like, the apex of the popularity. It's always when there's a heavyweight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Ali, obviously, Frazier, Foreman, Tyson, these guys, and there's just something, to me, more entertaining. Like this was Gotti and Mickey Ward, but just with two giant men.
I will just say this is the equivalent of like you'd rather watch, the Showtime Lakers than you would like, the Pistons.
Right.
In the 80s. I mean,
Yes.
I like, to bring that in terms, like you'd rather see things being done than not being done.
Yeah.
That's as easy as it is. And I get that. 100% get that.
So, I do think that in a sense, and we've talked about boxing's corrupt. There's so much stuff that's rigged and all this stuff, but like, it's like nights like these that really makes the sport shine.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that this also shows like your wannabe fighters too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Logan Pauls, because I can't remember exactly. I know that we talked about his weight in the ring with Floyd, and he was over 200.
Yeah.
And I just think about that. Like, why don't you bulk up to 230, see what you got. You know what I mean?
That would be very interesting.
It wouldn't be. It would be over and around.
By very interesting,
Tyson
I mean,
Fury would kill him.
Your first round death.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like we've talked about like the guy, from the challenge, like Fessie's getting into boxing, and he would probably be a heavyweight. He's 6'5", he's a bigger guy. Let's get Fessie in there against one of these guys. Not gonna work. Not gonna work for him. No, but this is like I think that this is
still a sweet science. It's still one of my favorite things to watch.
Right.
It was just honestly, I had two other sports going on that overlapped this at the same time, and I thought Fury was going to win this earlier, so that's why I didn't buy the fight. That's why I didn't. If this fight was on in May, I'm locked in for everything. Yeah. That was the only reason. And do you think they're going to do a fourth?
No, they won't do a fourth.
Okay, money speaks, and like
they're not.
Still went to the 11th round. Okay,
because you could make the argument that Tyson won all three.
Oh, 100%. I watched the first one.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch the second or third, but yeah. Okay.
Right. Ty McAfee writes in and wants to know, for a big sporting event like this or the Super Bowl or what have you, what our go-to food or snack would be. This was at midnight my time, so my snack was my fingernails because I'm not going to eat that late.
Usually Super Bowl time, I'm trying to think like my normal. I'm more of a snack. I'm like a snack all day time when there's a bit like the Super Bowl thing.
Right.
I will say for me, it is probably like wings.
Yeah, wings is a good go-to
because you can kind of like you want to have hot wings, and I don't mean the spiciness, but you want to have wings fresh. But like you can also eat a wing 5 hours later. You're okay with that.
Room temperature wings are actually fine.
Yeah, that's fine. My big thing is like, what I love about a big time sport, like a Super Bowl is, that's a good day to just like chill. And you're having some chips and salsa or like a 7-layer dip if you're feeling naughty. So stuff like that. I mean,
I usually for Super Bowl Sunday make a queso dip in the slow cooker.
As you should. Yeah, something like that. A little buffalo chicken ranch dip, something like that. It's nice. Yeah. I would say like I'm probably for a big day, like a thing like that, not a holiday, but like a big sport event, more of an appetizer guy. Let's just snack all day. I'm never sitting down because you don't want to sit down. You're always kind of moving and grooving. You want to keep up with what the game is. If you're sitting down eating, you're not paying attention to what's going on. So
I made so for the Panthers Super Bowl, which we won't talk about the actual game. So I made the dip and I made a rack of ribs, Memphis ribs. I'm not a wet rib guy. I like a nice dry rib.
Me too.
And then I also made these things that were like BLT poppers. And so what that is you cook up your bacon, chop it up real good.
Oh yeah.
Shred some lettuce.
Yeah.
Now here's what you do. You take it's not quite a cherry tomato. You want a small vine tomato, right?
Small vine. Okay.
Like big enough, like yay.
Okay.
Okay. You cut the top off, take a spoon, hollow it out. Take a little mayo and shredded. Yeah. Take a little mayo and some shredded lettuce. Cram that down in there. And then you garnish it with some bacon.
Delicious.
Yeah.
That sounds real good. Eat about 100 of those bad boys.
Oh yeah.
I
easy.
will just say I like a nice whiskey during the game. That's what that's my drink during the game, because you don't want to pee during the game, so you gotta have a little something that's not gonna make you urinate.
Well,
You want to urinate at
commercials.
halftime.
Halftime commercials.
Well, no, you don't want to miss commercials.
I'm fine with missing the commercials. They haven't been good in over a decade.
But if there's one good one, you miss it, you're kind of pissed off.
You got YouTube.
That's true. I don't
It's
know.
not
There's
like you're
something about
missing.
the
It's not
moment.
like Joe Green.
There's something about the moment. And Super Bowl, I'm always a big fan of the halftime show, whether it's good or bad, because I like criticize. I like to just be in the moment. So
how do you feel about this year's? I think we talked about it, but
yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good with it. Yeah. I'm down. Rap.
Yeah.
Let's bring it. Let's bring it for the kids,
Huge
for the
cloud
children.
of weed.
So much. It's gonna
Over
be like
the,
it's gonna be Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly. You smell like weed. I am weed.
I don't know.
That's gonna be the Super Bowl. Check it
Pop
out.
Culture Potpourri. We already covered.
Dave.
We already covered Chapelle. It got super heavy and weird, and I didn't like it. So we'll move
You're good.
on.
You're good on it, friend. That's important.
Big Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 casting news comes by way of Nerdist. Will Poulter? I don't know. Best known for The Maze Runner and We're the Millers, will play Adam Warlock in Guardians Volume 3.
Cool. I mean, I like Adam Warlock being in the movies, but I don't like the Guardians movies.
Yeah.
I don't like the Guardians movies, so I like Adam Warlock. Don't like those movies.
I think a lot of people wanted
go back and listen to that. Yeah, go back and listen to our Marvel stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Download all of it.
Unsubscribe, subscribe again.
Do all that shit.
The Eternals will be Marvel's The Eternals will be the MCU's third longest movie.
So Endgame and
I'm guessing Infinity War.
Infinity War?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, this is supposed to be like a big turning point. No, I think it's supposed to be a big turning point in the series. So
yeah, I'm sure. I can't tell you like what my level of excitement to see this movie is, because it's real low.
Mine's 5. It's middle. It's middle level excitement.
I don't know. A few classic games have been announced for remaster and will come later this year. Grand Theft Auto : the trilogy : the definitive edition.
Holy shit.
Has been announced by Rockstar and will come later this year in an unannounced date. The collection will include the iconic Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas trilogy that changed action, narrative, open world, sandbox, and games in general for good, starting with GTA 3 in 2001 on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. No official date. Do you have history with these games at all?
I played 3 in Vice City. Yep. I didn't play San Andreas, but I did play 3 in Vice City. Yeah.
Okay. San Andreas was the only one I played. Like extensively. Okay. I mean, I went to like friend's house and like fucked up some hookers, in the first two.
Do.
But that's
and then
what
you played the games. And then you played the games.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I had the some people may remember there's like a thing in San Andreas called like the hot coffee thing, where you would like pick up a girl and she'd want hot coffee, and then it was just sex. Sure. And they eventually took that out. So if you had that version of the game, it was worth like 5 times more when you took it back to GameStop.
That's
so it was worth $5.
The hot coffee edition.
Yeah. You can Google it. Look it up on YouTube.
I'm sure you wouldn't want to really touch that box though. It seems weird.
What?
Don't think too much.
Dune director Denis Villeneuve said he would like a crack at 007, but also believes it will be a big task following the Daniel Craig era. This guy needs to just settle the fuck down.
He needs, honestly, like, I like him. Chill out for a second.
What else did he do?
He did Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Okay.
Yeah.
So he did one movie that was really long.
Yeah. I like to have do this. Christopher Nolan that'd be insane. British. He's British.
That's fine.
Doing James Bond. It'd be so weird.
I'm like
it'd be so weird.
I don't want to.
I'm not talking the next round, but like 20 years down the road, he's like 60 and he's like, yep, let me do this. And it'd be weird as F.
I'm just gonna say this, and it's probably gonna come across as like maybe a little fanboyish.
Yeah.
Bond is beneath Nolan. I'm just going to be real.
That is not accurate, but
yes,
he did Batman.
And
he did Batman. Batman is just the same level as
no,
Bond.
It's not.
In movies.
It's better.
In movies.
No, it's better.
In movies, it's not.
Better.
There's
better.
26 different Bond movies.
So there's 9 Fast and the Furious movies.
No, I'm just saying, like, the idea is like, I mean, that's in iconic
I mean,
characters.
as a property. I'm talking as a property.
That's tough.
It's not.
That's tough.
It's not.
I
think you're more fanboying
disagree.
than
I would
right
say
now.
they're equal property.
They're
equal
not.
property.
That's
people
insanity.
care way more about who the next Bond is going to be than the next Batman.
That is blasphemy.
100%.
Blasphemy.
Nah.
Maybe people in England.
In general, people.
That's a small portion of people. We're gonna put
a lot of people.
I'll tell you what. You know what? We're gonna put out a poll.
Put out a poll. Do it. See it.
Speaking of Dune and people involved with it, the first image of Wonka,
yes,
the Willy Wonka prequel, was shown by Tim Chalamet.
I like how you call him Tim
on his Instagram. I'm
Casual.
calling him
You guys
that
are
until
friends?
I see. No, I'm going to call him that until I see a movie with him in it that he impresses me.
Anything he's
Don't
been
say
in?
Little Women, please. I will fly.
I wasn't going to say
slap
Little
you.
Women. Go.
I've never
see,
seen a movie with
Hot
him.
Summer Night. See Hot Summer Nights. That movie is fucking awesome.
I
See that
can't
movie.
Say I've even ever heard of it.
Let's go. No, you haven't heard of it, but go see it. It's awesome.
You know what?
It's
I don't
awesome.
like indie stuff.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that movie.
Speaking of Christopher Nolan, he tabbed Cillian Murphy for the role of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, and targets a 2023 release date. Nolan fans will remember Cillian Murphy for his role as the Scarecrow in Batman Begins, and then also his role in Inception.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So,
This is,
Peaky Blinders, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
He could be Bond.
He's awesome. He can be a
Right?
good Bond too. Yeah,
I
I just
don't
think
he has the build for it.
I don't think he has the build. He doesn't have enough grit to him. He have a little grit.
The original anime series for Cowboy Bebop will hit Netflix a month before the live action version on October 21st. Additionally, the original Japanese voice cast will provide the voices for the dubbed version of the live action series, which debuts November 18th.
Awesome.
On Netflix. So I'm
Check it out,
probably
everyone.
not gonna watch, like, I'm not gonna make a point of it to watch the anime again because I've seen it several times, but I'm gonna check out a few
If you haven't seen it though, people, go check it out. It's awesome. It's really good.
Yeah. So that's October 18th. So Monday after this post.
Yep.
If you want leaks of upcoming DC, Marvel, or Star Wars properties, look no further than Lego. In the past, we learned about some Spider-Man No Way Home suits, and this week we got a glimpse of the Batman's Batcave, Batmobile, and the Riddler for the upcoming Lego sets based on the film. Just putting it out there, there's no James Bond Lego sets, just saying. And finally, in the horrors of the deep
property
news,
things.
Lego is the only company that has both Marvel and DC.
You could have an Omega James Bond lots for $9,200 if you so choose. If you so choose.
You can't have a Lego set of them. So that says a lot to me. In horrors of the deep news, an oceanic research vessel examining a shipwreck in the northern part of the Red Sea were joined by a mysterious giant squid of the arrowhead genus. The squid was estimated to be over 7 feet in length. And before you scoff at that measurement, just imagine going for a swim at the beach and being attacked by Shaquille O'Neal, except it's a squid. Fuck off. Ocean.
The ocean's crazy. And when you literally sent that to me literally minutes after I saw it. Like I saw it.
It would have been cooler if you saw the actual squid.
That would not be, I wouldn't be here. I'd be dead because that squid would kill me. Yeah, that ocean's weird, man. Squids will kill you.
This is what I want.
He'll kill
Okay.
you and just
This is how we bring it full circle here on the BXG. What is that? You all right?
Oh, it's just I was looking up like weird Lego sets, and this like Bird of Paradise one came up, and I was not prepared.
We're gonna bring things full circle. Okay.
Okay.
Demi Lovato is making a show about finding ETs.
Yes.
But as we've discussed, we believe that it is more important to search the depths of the ocean
Yes.
for horrifying creatures that are already on this planet. And I believe this is my dream. Okay. This is just one man's dream. That instead of doing a Finding ET show, she does a Finding Crazy Shit in the Ocean show. Working title.
That's good. That's good.
In the filming, she is the first person to actually see a Kraken, and it devours her.
Win for everyone.
I don't see any losers here.
Like, she gets the fame that she doesn't ever care about, but always wants.
Right.
So good for her. Good
Right.
for her.
Yes.
We don't have to put up with her anymore.
100%.
And we see a Kraken.
Yes.
Boom. That's
a tic-tac-toe of win.
It is amazing. Oh my God. Let's make this happen, Kraken.
Let's get
Is that
Kraken.
the name of the episode?
Let's get Kraken.
Let's get Kraken. Kraken.
Oh, that's probably the name of the episode.
Amazing. Oh my
media.
God. That's like a dream of mine now. I do hope I have a dream of that now. Glorious.
Media recommendations. Let's get Kraken. All right. So we're recording this on a different day than we recorded everything else. So there was two things that popped up that were worthy to be included in the pop culture potpourri. So we're cutting in to add those in. The first of those is that this comes by way of PlayStation.com. And I'm reading the direct post. This coming holiday season, we have a limited amount of PlayStation 5 consoles available for customers in the US to purchase directly from PlayStation. If you're interested in receiving an invitation, register below. If selected, we will contact you via email with instructions and details to learn more about the PS5 console invite order process. Read the FAQ below, and then there's a link to sign in to register. So if you have an active PlayStation Network account, you can register for basically a lottery to be able to purchase a PS5. So I know that they've been hard to come by, and I know that some people are still on the prowl for them, but they also work full-time jobs and can't sit on Twitter all day waiting for notifications. So this is an opportunity for you if you are one of those people. And that can be found just by, PlayStation.com. It's towards the front page, or you can Google PS5, PS5 registry or registration.
And also, just don't forget to have 50,000 people, your 50,000 closest friends, sign up for YouTube. Like us on YouTube.
Subscribe us on YouTube.
Subscribe there, and you'll have a chance to win too.
Yeah, right. 50,000 of your closest friends. The other thing here was a article that came out from EW, Entertainment Weekly, in which Tom Holland says that he is looking at Spider-Man No Way Home as the, quote, end of a franchise. He said in part, quote, "I think if we are lucky enough to dive into these characters again, you'd be seeing a very different version. It would no longer be the Homecoming trilogy, ellipsis. We would give it some time and try to build something different and tonally change the films. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But we were definitely treating No Way Home like it was coming to an end, and it felt like it," end quote. Thoughts?
That's odd. I mean, he's always like been known for spoiling things, and so like this is weird that he's saying something like this. I can't imagine this is his last film. So
when they worked out the details for the partnership with Sony to continue after Far From Home. I believe it was for I want to say it was for 2 more solo picks and 2 more team up picks. So I certainly don't think that this is the last you're getting of Spider-Man, of Tom Holland Spider-Man. But when he says that it's going to look tonally different, I think that that's because it's going to begin to incorporate some of the disparate elements of the Sony Venom,
right?
Which, you know, spoilers for Venom 2. Have you seen any of this yet?
I have.
Yeah. Okay.
It was unavoidable.
Yeah, it was pretty unavoidable. Spoilers for Venom 2 if you've somehow missed it. But in the end credits of Venom 2, Eddie Brock wakes up to J. Jonah Jameson. What the hell's the actor's name?
Oh,
J.K. Simmons. Saying, like, outing Tom Holland Spider-Man, basically. The scene that's at the end of Far From Home is on his screen, which indicates that Venom is joining the MCU, which, you know, our arcane powers.
Yeah, somehow we speak things into existence.
We may have conjured that into existence. But I could certainly see, and then this comes on the heels of Zendaya giving an interview in which she said how important it is for Tom Holland to be Spider-Man. Like, to be Spider-Man, like, he wears that. Like, kids look at him and they say, you're Spider-Man. And so I don't think that he's necessarily ready to give that up, nor do I think that he should, because I'm of the opinion that he's not a good actor. And so he needs Spider-Man. He needs Spider-Man more than Spider-Man needs him.
Well, all these characters are that. I mean, in a way, I would say, like, you know, other than like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, pretty much everybody in Scarlett Johansson, like the three everyone else.
Ruffalo.
Yeah,
Ruffalo is an actually talented actor. He might actually be the most talented actor of the bunch.
It's either him or Robert Downey Jr. But you know, Hemsworth, I mean, he is Thor. And his other stuff is just him being Thor, but in a different costume. I mean, really, it's and it's not a bad thing, because it really isn't. I mean, to be associated with a superhero, I think my I guess big thing on this was, I think maybe what he means when it's like tonally different is, I think those first 2 Spider-Man movies are kind of like up and happy. I think this one may be sad. You know, this is where we kind of get this thing of him, you know, whether it's sad in like I don't think it'll be like Endgame sad, but I think it's just going to be this different turn of, like, the Spider-Man comics got very dark, in real life. Things actually happen. Like, you know, he's still a person who deals with everyday life. And so I'm not saying that it's going to be like drug addicted Peter Parker.
No, but the reality of it is that, you know, there's a story arc where Gwen Stacy gets murdered by the Green Goblin or the Hobgoblin, one of the two.
Yeah. You know? So I wouldn't be surprised if it's something, you know, into some degree of like a friend, something happens to a friend, or, you know, on a very micro level, not Tony Stark, but a micro level thing that changes the way this works, which is comic books. And you have to do something different, especially when we're making this transition into this new phase without Robert Downey Jr., without Scarlett Johansson, and without Chris Evans. You know, so it's like you have to make a shift in that.
I think
it makes me more excited for this Spider-Man, I will say, and I've already expressed my excitement. It makes me more excited because I think we're actually going to see a real, like, I think we're going to get more from it than the Eternals. Even though the Eternals is going to be long and whatever it is, I think Spider-Man's the most important. Well, Marvel is trying to promote the Eternals as this thing. But Spider-Man is still fucking Spider-Man. Okay, like, at the end of the day, you know, it's still Spider-Man. It's still the most important thing.
Is that it's going to change, like, in tone, because they're going to bring back Toby and Garfield, and one of them's going to die, and then what's going to happen is everyone's going to be sad, and I'm going to slap the nearest person next to me and say, they already did this in Into the Spider-Verse, and it was better. So
we'll see.
It's going to be hard for me to not be hung up on that, because we already got an
Well, we don't know
objectively excellent Spider-Verse movie.
until that actually happens. Until it's something like that, because it may be that they're just in it, not Spider-Man. I mean, there's always that thing.
I don't think that that's going to be the case, though. And
You
then
know,
the other
and-
thing, the other avenue that you can take this down is that there is an avenue to keep Spider-Man in the MCU and it not be Tom Holland, and that's with Miles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that has to be kind of considered as well. But that is that, and we're going to cut back into the regular show now.
So I've been rewatching the Bond movies. I'm gonna finish Spectre, so I'll be all the way caught up to no.
Is it
No
weird?
Time to
Let
Die.
me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Is it weird whenever they show Bond movies at like college basketball arenas and the fans start chanting overrated? Is that weird for you?
I've never.
You've never seen that?
No,
I've seen that happen.
I've never seen it happen.
I saw it happen at UNC.
I've never. Also, those kids are like 20 and they don't know anything. So, I've been 20 and I didn't know anything at that time. Those kids also still dress up as like those kids think they're cool and they're not.
Right. I hear a lot of justification and minimizing on your part.
Well, yeah, college kids are stupid. We're all stupid. It's amazing that you decide your life at that age. Just gonna point that out. That is weird.
All right, what
That's
else
the
do you
decision.
have? What else do you have?
I wrapping up Fast and the Furious. I have. Are we doing Hobbs and Shaw? I forgot to ask.
No.
Are we doing? Okay, so I just have the last one to go.
Only. Yeah.
Mainline only. Straight.
Yeah,
I'll
me too.
probably
I
watch
only
Hobbs and Shaw
already.
for fun, but I said the last one to go.
Yeah.
Squid Game, 2/3 of the way through
We could
that.
call it Kraken game
Tracking game.
or Squid Game season 2.
I don't know. Like I'll wait till I finish Squid Game before I go into it, and then rewatching Ted Lasso because I watched it, and then Janie wanted to rewatch it, so now I'm doing that, and so I'm halfway through the second season and waiting for Janie to catch up on that. So that is where I'm at. Not a lot of book reading this week, unfortunately. I just didn't have the book reading motivation, but yeah, that's it. And let's see, was there something else? Oh, it's just fun to watch football again. I went out, had some beers, had some beverages with my former boss at the pizza restaurant, and it was awesome. Yeah. And I love football. I will just say I love watching football. It's great entertainment for all of us.
Very good.
Yeah.
I have you're gonna like this. I don't have it written down. So last night I was playing on my Vita, my handheld, and I wanted something in the background that I could like enjoy listening to but wouldn't want to pay attention to. Okay.
Oh, that's one of my favorite things.
So I went with the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, well, I like watching that, but yeah, sure.
But
that's
I
good.
liked listening to it.
Oh yeah,
a bit taut now, isn't it?
A bit
I like the guy that looks like Severus Snape a lot.
Yeah, of course. He's awesome.
I don't know anyone's name because I wasn't paying attention to it, but every now and then I looked up and I was like, I don't know if this guy is going to tell somebody they made a great cake or take 200 points from Gryffindor.
I'm surprised you don't watch it more because you love food.
Yeah. I saw a great tweet too, or meme, one or the other, that like, it's like British cooking show. It's like, hey, just make us a great cake. American cooking show. You're in the desert being attacked by wolverines and you have 5 ingredients.
Yes, that is it. That is accurate. That is so accurate.
I'm playing Far Cry 6, which they're trying to cancel because there's cockfighting in it. So there's another, cancel culture thing. PETA's down Ubisoft.
Fox fight. It happens.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, get rid of this part of the game. I'm like, they better not fucking get rid of it before I get the trophies for it. That's all.
Right. Exactly.
And then I've been playing this Japanese role-playing game called I Am Setsuna. And it's like, it's a role-playing game in the same way of like a turn-based that like old Final Fantasy would be. But the thing about this particular game is Setsuna is the Japanese word for sadness.
I am sadness.
All of the music is piano, and it's all like bad, and it sometimes puts me.
That was gonna be Radiohead.
No, it makes me really sleepy. So I haven't played I haven't played like a ton of it. But the other thing too is like I got the Castlevania Advance Collection, which is 3 Game Boy Advance games, and then Dracula X, which is just Rondo of Blood ported to the SNES. So I'm probably going to play those. I've been feeling like lately in a like wanting to play old games, like retro games kind of deal. So I'll probably give that a go next. But that's where I'm at. I didn't read anything this week either because I don't know how to read. So I'm illiterate.
I don't know how to read the last 2 weeks either. It happens.
No,
I
don't know how to
bookstore
read at all. I don't know how I graduated college twice. It's
Well,
crazy.
was your second one that was just 2 years, not another 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's easier.
Right. Hey man, fake to make it. Seize
Exactly.
the degrees.
That's right. Oh yeah.
BXG.
Nobody knows. There's C doctors out there. Never forget, everyone. Your doctor probably got a C in college. Just don't forget that. Don't take advice from him. That's my advice.
BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. on podcast services.
What's Hot Wheels Unleashed?
I haven't played it yet. I had meant to play
okay.
it, but I haven't played it yet, so I can't
right.
speak on it. But it got really good critical reviews. So
I might buy a motorcycle. This is
BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. on podcast services across the globe. Please don't. I don't know who else would talk to me every week for 2 hours that no one would listen to. That's the funny part. On podcast services around the globe, Amazon, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods app, so on and so forth. You find us on social media at facebook.com/BXG Podcast, on Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GT Phils, at Y2B, on Twitter at GT Philson, at BXG Podcast, at Y2Boo. Because it's Halloween. I don't know how I'm going to incorporate turkeys and shit into my next name, but whatever. Let's see.
Y2 gobble gobble.
Yeah. Giveaway on the YouTube channel. We've picked up some more subscribers, so we're getting there. You know, the march towards 100 subscribers and the giveaway of $25 gift card. It'll be given away to someone at random. 500 subscribers will give away a $50 gift card. 1,000 subscribers will give away a $100 gift card. And at 50,000 subscribers, we will give away a PlayStation 5. 50,000.
Hell yeah, friends. 50,000.
Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mothers.
Tell your mothers. Tell your mothers.
Oh, I already said it.
But tell your mothers again.
Yeah, to release the Kraken. And,
do it.
Listen to the BXG podcast. Take care, friends. Good night.
Good night. Thanks for listening.